Have you ever just looked at your own life and thought, why on earth do I keep doing this? You know, staying in jobs we can't stand, relationships that just drain us, or falling back into habits we swore we'd kick. It makes no logical sense, right? And yet, there's a really powerful reason we so often choose a familiar hell over a completely unknown heaven. So, let's get into
This quote, this is pretty much the key to the entire puzzle. See, it's not your logic that's in the driver's seat most of the time. It's your nervous system. And its number one job, its only job, really, is to keep you alive. It's not designed to make you happy. So, yeah, it's always going to steer you toward what it already knows, even if what it knows is painful. And that's the big mystery we're going to unravel together.
I like to call this the professional's paradox. I mean, think about it. You can be an absolute rock star at work. You're crushing presentations, leading teams, solving problems no one else can touch. But then you go home and you find yourself totally unable to say no to something that you know is going to drain you, or you fall right back into that one habit you promised yourself you'd quit. It is maddening. So what is the disconnect here?
Well, here's the answer. And fair warning, this might hit a little close to home. For a lot of us, chaos feels, well, it feels like home. Anxiety is basically the wallpaper we're used to seeing every day. That constant feeling of just, bracing for the next bad thing to happen, that's our normal. And your brain would literally rather live in a house that's falling apart than be emotionally homeless.
Okay, so let's put on our detective hats for a minute. The very first thing you need to know is that this whole pattern, it's not a flaw in your character, not at all. It's actually a feature of your brain's ancient survival software. Let's dig into the evidence. So, our first clue comes from Sigmund Freud. He noticed this really strange pattern in people that he called repetition compulsion. It's this unconscious drive we have to replay painful situations over and over again. Think about someone who grew up with a really critical parent, and then they just keep dating people who are super critical of them. It's like our mind is saying, okay, let me try this again. This time I'm going to get it right. This time I'll finally win their approval. And look, Freud was definitely onto something. But modern neuroscience has taken it a giant leap further. This isn't just some mind game we're playing with ourselves. This stuff is wired directly into our biology. It's a function of the very organ that's designed to keep us alive, our brain.
So this is basically the brain's strange logic in a nutshell. To your brain, safe doesn't mean good or happy. Nope. Safe means familiar. It runs this really simple calculation. Hey, I've survived this pain before, so I know I can survive it again. But that new, peaceful situation over there, I've got no data on that. For all I know, it could be a trap. And this is especially true if, when you were a kid, you learned that chaos was just normal, or maybe that you had to put up with pain just to get love and attention.
Okay, so let this one really sink in. What you've been calling self-sabotage for years is actually a misguided attempt at self-protection. It is not a weakness. It's an old survival strategy that is just way past its expiration date. And the moment you really get that, you can actually start to change it. But, if just understanding something was enough, we'd all be healed by now, wouldn't we? The reason we get so stuck is that these patterns aren't just thoughts in our heads. They are physically stored in our bodies. There's this amazing field called somatic experiencing that has this really powerful insight. Trauma isn't the event that happened to you. Trauma is the energy that got stuck in your body when you couldn't complete a protective response, like fighting back or running away. It's kind of like slamming on the gas and the brake in your car at the exact same time. That energy gets trapped, and it just keeps your internal alarm system ringing and ringing long after the danger is gone. And this is what that looks like. Think of your nervous system as having a gas pedal, that's the sympathetic system, and a brake pedal, the parasympathetic. When that trauma energy gets trapped, one of those pedals can get stuck down. If it's the gas pedal, you're just living in a state of chronic anxiety, always revved up, always on edge. And if it's the brake, you feel depressed or numb or just totally shut down. So what this all means is that you can't just talk your way out of it. You have to learn to speak your body's language, which is the language of sensation. You have to literally show your nervous system that the war is over and that it's finally safe to come home. So the big question is, how do we actually do this? Let's switch gears and move from the theory to the practice. It's time to get out the toolkit and start building a new emotional home, one that's actually safe and peaceful for real.
Here is a super simple tool you can use anytime, anywhere. It's called the containment hold, and if you feel comfortable, why don't you try it with me right now? Just take your right hand and place it under your left armpit, so it's resting on your rib cage.
Now take your left hand and place it on your right shoulder or your bicep. And now just squeeze gently, like you're giving yourself a secure hug. Take a slow breath and just notice that feeling of being held. This simple action sends a really powerful signal of safety directly to your nervous system.
When you start to regulate your body with little things like this, you create a bit of space in your mind. You're not stuck in survival mode anymore. And in that new space, you can start to install a brand new mental operating system.
For that, we can turn to the ancient Stoics. They had this really simple but incredibly powerful idea. Divide everything in your life into two categories: things you can control and things you absolutely can't. You know, most of our anxiety comes from trying to control things we can't, like what other people think of us, or whether or not we get that promotion. The Stoic approach is to pour all of your energy into what you can control: your effort, your choices, your attitude. Whether you actually get the promotion is out of your hands, but preparing for that interview to the absolute best of your ability, that's all you.
And this isn't just some clever mental trick. This is a daily practice of freedom. It's about choosing to build your house on the solid ground of your own actions, not on the shifting sands of what other people do or say.
The Stoic philosopher Epictetus, a man who was born into slavery, so he knew a thing or two about hardship, he put it this way. Now this sounds pretty radical, I get it, but think about it. How much of our energy do we waste just wishing things were different? He's not saying to be passive. He's saying that real peace only comes when you stop fighting with reality.
But wait a minute. Is he just telling us to give up? You know, to become a doormat and just let life happen to us? It's a totally fair question.
No, absolutely not. In fact, it's the exact opposite. It is the ultimate power move. You stop wasting your precious energy on things you can't change, and you redirect all of it, like a laser, onto the things you can. You become the creator of your own experience, not just a victim of your circumstances.
So, here we are, full circle. That old familiar pain, it was a home, and it kept you safe when you needed it to. But just surviving isn't the same as truly living. The challenge now isn't to condemn that old home, but to thank it for its service, and then have the courage to start building a new one. One that's founded on peace, not on pain. So my question for you is this: what's the first brick you're going to lay today?